stop telling me what I can do, what I can say, what I can think, who my heroes are supposed to be. Just, just get the off of me.
Bill Maher just pulled off something explosive on his latest Club Random episode. He red-pilled Drew Barrymore, and now the internet can't stop talking. The unapologetic comedian came in fearless, cutting straight through the heart of the debate and tearing apart Barrymore's weak arguments like they were paper. As expected, the woke crowd completely lost their minds, spiraling into outrage. But Maher, he didn't flinch for a second. He wasn't there to please anyone. His only goal was to drop the raw, unfiltered truth in burning doses, the kind that leaves no room for sugarcoating. And trust me, this is just the beginning. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, because things are only about to get hotter from here.
You are a very discerning man. When it comes to a lot of things, you are.
It's a charitable word for it, but I appreciate it. Yes, I think I am. I mean...
I've watched you for decades go out there and speak your truth.
Yeah.
I don't think there is anything that exists of the truth. It's your truth. And
there is also in life the truth. We may not always be able to discern it, but there is the truth.
Drew Barrymore leaned on one of the woke mob's favorite slogans, "Truth is relative." You've heard it before, probably countless times. The moment a woke activist is cornered with undeniable facts, they retreat into the safety net of that tired phrase, "That's your truth, let me live mine." It sounds deep, almost poetic, but in reality, it's nothing more than laziness dressed up as wisdom. Here's the hard truth. Facts and opinions are not the same thing. Facts exist whether you like them or not. Gravity doesn't pause simply because you're offended when you stumble. Opinions, however, can go either way. They can stand firm when built on facts or crumble when fueled by feelings and delusions. That's exactly where Barrymore's reasoning fell apart. Her defense wasn't empowerment, it was pure escapism. And Bill Maher, he wasn't about to let her slip through the cracks. He challenged her head-on, refusing to let weak arguments hide behind emotional slogans.
It's very hard to be the one on either side to ever proclaim you know what it is. That is a dangerous thing to do. We always need to hear, because we don't know. We're not God.
no,
Right.
no.
But it does exist, the truth. Not everything is just your truth. I mean, your truth has become sort of like code word for just whatever I feel like believing. Well, that's not really the same thing as your truth. You feel this way.
Yes.
Feeling is not enough for me.
Bill Maher didn't stop there. He fired yet another arrow straight into the fragile heart of the woke mob. Their entire playbook, he pointed out, isn't built on truth or logic, but purely on feelings. And when pressed for evidence, they scramble to grab cherry-picked fringe examples, flimsy at best, hoping no one notices their arguments collapse the moment real pressure is applied. But here's the problem with emotions. They're fleeting. One day you feel certain, the next day you don't. You can't build anything stable, rational, or lasting on a foundation that shifts like sand in the wind. Yet somehow, the woke crowd insists on using these unstable feelings as the basis for life-altering choices, like pushing children toward irreversible transitions. Think about that. Kids who haven't even figured out their favorite color are being told that their passing emotions define them forever. It's reckless. It's dangerous, and Maher called it out without hesitation. Because in the end, true.
Such a taboo subject, the truth.
It is. Oh, and it gets you hated.
Oh, as soon as I said it, I was like, the truth, that there is no truth. I'm like, that doesn't work. You can't say things like that.
And here's where things get truly delicious. Drew Barrymore suddenly looked rattled. You could almost see the gears in her mind grinding to a halt. She thought she was flattering Maher by calling his words your truth. But Maher, sharp and unflinching, cut her off instantly. There's no your truth or my truth. There's just the truth. That's when everything unraveled. For a painfully awkward few seconds, Barrymore stumbled and rambled. lost for words like a deer caught in the headlights. That's what happens when raw truth collides head-on with woke ideology. It doesn't just bruise an ego, it shatters the illusion entirely. In echo chambers, woke talking points sound polished, even convincing. But when faced with someone armed with logic and backbone, the facade crumbles instantly. Barrymore wasn't really having a conversation anymore. She was gasping for air. And in that exact moment, Maher proved the timeless reality. Truth will always bulldoze over feelings.
It's just so refreshing. Like, you were doing this before it was so dangerous.
Still dangerous.
And it is just way too dangerous now.
Yeah.
But you're still doing it.
It's slightly less dangerous than it was 2 years ago because we did have a vibe change. And because the Democrats lost so badly in 2024.
Whoa, Barrymore almost slipped one past the radar, carefully trying to plant the notion that speaking the truth today is somehow dangerous. It was a classic woke tactic. Dress up censorship as if it's just concern for safety. But Maher wasn't dozing at the wheel. He caught it instantly and shut it down before the seed could even take root. That's the difference between a sharp mind and a compliant one. We all remember the height of cancel culture just a few years ago. People lost jobs, reputations, and even lifelong friends, all for daring to challenge the mob's narrative. Fear had replaced free speech, and silence became survival. But here's the twist. The tide is turning. With Trump shaking up the establishment and the unstoppable rise of independent media, cancel culture no longer burns like a roaring wildfire. Instead, it's a dying ember, sputtering out while the rest of us grow bolder in speaking truth without fear. And Maher's reminder was crystal clear. That shift is already.
The blush is off the rose on left-wing censorship and, oh my God, you can't say that. Stop telling me what I can do, what I can say, what I can think, who my heroes are supposed to be. Just get the off.
Bill Maher paused for a moment, reminding Barrymore and everyone else watching of something the woke mob conveniently forgets. The true essence of free speech carved into the very foundation of the Constitution. Free speech isn't a gift handed out by cultural gatekeepers. It's the birthright of every American, the right to speak one's mind, even when it ruffles feathers or makes others squirm. Maher sliced through the noise with clarity. If words ever cross into actual criminal territory, that's why we have courts, laws, and institutions to deal with them. But outside of that narrow line, speech should remain free, raw, and unfiltered. That's the beauty of America. We don't silence voices simply because they make us uncomfortable, and we certainly don't grant mobs the power to turn hurt feelings into crimes. Maher's point was sharp yet undeniable. Free speech means all speech, not just the kind approved by the woke elite, and that's exactly why it must be protected fiercely.
That is a lot of just what viscerally is going on with me when I have issues with the left. Just get the fuck off of me. First of all, I don't believe you. You're not better. You're a lot of posers. Not all of you, but just get the fuck off of me.
Well, that's what I like is you call people out from all different areas, and I don't even know how to address parties anymore.
Got to hand it to Bill Maher. Love him or hate him, the man's got guts. He doesn't shy away from calling people out, no matter where they land on the spectrum, left, right, or anywhere in between. That kind of consistency is a rare commodity in today's political circus. Now compare that with the mainstream media. Their playbook is painfully predictable. Hammer the right for every mistake, but sweep the left's failures neatly under the rug. It's selective outrage at its finest, and people are tired of it. Maher refuses to play by those rules. He'll scorch Republicans when they're wrong, but he'll just as quickly drag Democrats into the spotlight when they're peddling nonsense. That's why, even with all the hate he gets from the woke mob, viewers still tune in. In a landscape drowning in bias and agenda-driven spin, Maher's willingness to torch hypocrisy wherever he finds it is not only refreshing, it's desperately needed.
If you are ballsy enough to do those things, what is it that like scares you or that you care about?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Cut. I was so riveted by the framing there. I was like, wow, who are we talking to? What was the question? What am I?
If you're ballsy enough to be brave enough to say your truths or speak to
Yes.
what you believe is the truth,
Yes.
what scares you and what do you care about?
Oh, what scares me is a little bit me. That, you know, at any moment you can like say something that really in private conversation wouldn't upset anybody.
Yes.
But the snitches and bitches will be able to use it to like
End you.
attack and end you, which they did once on Politically Incorrect.
And that, right there, is the textbook definition of left-wing hypocrisy. Behind closed doors, they say whatever they want. They laugh, they joke, and they even share the same unfiltered thoughts the rest of us do. But the moment someone dares to say those same truths in public, everything changes. Suddenly, it's outrage theater. They clutch their pearls, summon the mob, and try to cancel the speaker into silence. It's never really about the words themselves. It's about control. They want to dictate who's allowed to say it, when it can be said, and exactly how it must be framed. If the wrong person speaks out, the mob descends without mercy. That's why cancel culture has always been a fraud. It was never about morality. It was always about power. And every time someone resists the pressure to conform, the hypocrisy of the left becomes harder to hide and even more impossible to defend.
I've been ended a few
Yeah,
times
right.
and I understand that it
Right.
is real and it can happen.
Right. So, like I always say, whenever I leave the house, not even to just do the show, just leave the house, I'm having dinner at a restaurant, but one of those rooftop restaurants. Because is it really dangerous? Not very, but you could fall off the roof.
Right.
Like when you eat at a normal restaurant, there's no danger of you falling off the roof. When you eat at a rooftop restaurant, there's very little, but it is possible you could fall off the roof.
The Democrats managed to turn an entire nation into people walking on eggshells. For years, they trained Americans to second-guess every word, every joke, and every social media post, terrified that a single slip could destroy careers or reputations overnight. They weaponized fear, turning ordinary conversations into minefields where honesty was replaced with paranoia. People no longer spoke freely. They filtered every thought through a lens of political correctness, as though tiptoeing around invisible tripwires. But let's be clear, this was never about fostering respect. It was always about control. The goal was to keep people silenced, cautious, and obedient, why the self-proclaimed moral police on the left dictated what could and couldn't be said. And that is exactly why so many Americans are rebelling against this suffocating culture. People are done with the paranoia. We're tired of whispering. We want to speak openly, without waiting for the mob to pounce on every misstep. That's why Bill Maher's exchange with Drew Barrymore wasn't just another celebrity spat, it was a wake-up call. For too long, the left has thrived on censorship, double standards, and fear tactics that kept Americans quiet. But those days are fading. Independent voices are rising. Cancel culture is gasping for air, and more people every day are refusing to bow to woke orthodoxy. Agree with him or not, Maher proved something vital, that truth still matters. And when spoken boldly, truth slices through noise and deception like a knife. The facade is cracking, the hypocrisy is exposed, and free speech is staging its comeback. That is something worth celebrating. And with that, we come to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the subscribe button and share it with your friends, because together we can finally stamp out the dying embers of woke culture. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.